The well of Zamzam, which disappeared when the Arabs placed idols at the Kaaba, remained buried under the sand. Thus, for many years, the people of Quraysh had to fetch their water from far away. One day, Abd al-Muttalib was very tired from doing this and fell asleep next to the Kaaba. He had a dream in which he was told to dig up Zamzam. When he woke up, he was puzzled because he did not know what Zamzam was, the well having disappeared many years before he was born. The next day, he had the same dream, but this time he was told where to find the well. Abd al-Muttalib had one son at that time, and together they began to dig. The work was so difficult that Abd al-Muttalib made an oath to Allah that if one day he were to have 10 sons to help him and stand by him, in return he will sacrifice one of them in Allah's honor. After working for 3 days, they finally found the well of Zamzam. Pilgrims have been drinking from it ever since. The years passed by and Abd al-Muttalib did have 10 sons. They grew into fine, strong men, and the time came for him to keep his promise to Allah. He told his sons about the promise and they agreed that he had to sacrifice one of them to see which one it would be. They decided to draw lots, which was the custom of Quraysh when deciding important matters. Abd al-Muttalib told each son to get an arrow and write his own name upon it and then to bring it to him. This they did, after which he took them to the Kaaba, where there was a man whose special task it was to cast arrows and pick one from among them. This man solemnly proceeded to do this. On the arrow he chose was written the name of Allah, the youngest and favorite son of Abd al-Muttalib. Even so, the father took his son near the Kaaba and prepared to sacrifice him. Many of Quraysh leaders were present and they became very angry because Abdullah was very young and much loved by everyone. They tried to think of a way to save his life. Someone suggested that the advice of a wise old woman who lived in Yathrib should be sought. And so Abd al-Muttalib took his son and went to see if she could decide what to do. Some of the Meccans went with them, and when they got there, the woman asked, "What is the price of a man's life?" They told her, 10 camels, for at the time, if one man killed another, his family would have to give 10 camels to the dead man's family in order to keep the peace among them. So the woman told them to go back to the Kaaba and draw lots between Abdullah and 10 camels. If the camels were chosen, they were to be killed and the meat given to the poor. If Abdullah was picked, then 10 more camels were to be added and the lots drawn again and again until they finally fell on the camels. Abd al-Muttalib returned to the Kaaba with his sons and the people of Makkah. There they started to draw lots between Abdullah and the camels. Starting with 10 camels, Abdullah prayed to Allah to spare his son and everyone waited in silence for the result. The choice fell on Abdullah, so his father added 10 more camels. Again the choice fell on Abdullah, so they did the same again and again, adding 10 camels each time. Finally they reached 100 camels, and only then did the lot fall on the camels. Abdullah was saved and everyone was very happy. Abd al-Muttalib, however, wanted to make sure that this was the true result, so he repeated draw 3 times and each time it fell on the camels. He then gave thanks to Allah that he had spared Abdullah's life. The camels were sacrificed and there was good enough food for the entire city, even the animals and the birds. Abdullah grew up to be a very handsome young man, and his father eventually chose Amina, the daughter of Wahab, as a wife for him. It was a good match, for she was the finest of Quraysh women and Abdullah the best of men. He spent several months with his wife, but then he had to leave her and travel with one of the caravans to trade with Syria. On his way back to Makkah from Syria, Abdullah became ill and had to stop at Yathrib to recover. The caravan, however, continued on its way and arrived back in Makkah without him. On hearing of Abdullah's illness, Abd al-Muttalib sent another son, Al-Harith, to bring Abdullah back to Makkah, but he was too late. When he arrived in Yathrib, Abdullah was dead. Amina was heartbroken to lose her husband and the father of the child he would soon give birth to. Only Allah knew that this orphan child would one day be a great prophet.